Good evening. Tonight we have a top quiz fiend on the programme. So let's start as we mean to go on. Nikki Coburn, what else do we have in tonight's programme?
I have no idea.
No, that was really very unfair. We will try to be a bit fairer as time goes on. But to answer my own question, we will be asking why the form for a benefit promoting independence can't be completed independently, and the couple for whom the penny has dropped on inclusive design.
To lock the door, turn the handle upwards. The toilet is on the wall facing you.
Oh, found it.
This applies to all visually impaired people. In this age of standardisation, I often wonder why it's not really been applied to the public loo, because as any blind person will tell you, you never know what you're going to find when you go in search of them. Door locks, flushes, soap, dryers, they can be anywhere and of any kind of design. But where there's a problem, there's always someone willing to try to solve it. In the past year, Helen and Steve have been asked to install their device, known as a roommate, into around 40 disabled toilets throughout the country, including the House of Commons Visitors Centre. Well, Tony Shearman has been along to Westminster to try out the smallest room in the house.
Welcome. If you are visually impaired and would like a recorded description of this room, please wave your hand in front of this unit, which is to the left of the door. To lock the door, turn the handle upwards. The toilet is on the wall facing you.
Oh, found it.
Well, the roommate is the brainchild of Helen Kemp and Steve Hollier, and they join me on the line now from our studios in Truro. First of all, Helen, how did you come up with the idea for the roommate?
My background career was in mobility and orientation, which was basically teaching visually impaired adults and children how to get around using the long white cane. And quite often they needed the loo. So I would do a very brief description as they jiggled about at the doorway, and then wait outside while they tried to remember what they'd been told, and sometimes it was rather a long wait before they reappeared again, and I just thought there's got to be a better way than this.
So Helen, you're sighted, but Steve is visually impaired. Steve, you must have been in the situation before. I know I have been in a strange toilet, so something like this is music to your ears, I suppose.
When I had some sight, most disabled access toilets are very light in colour and everything blends in, so you walk in and it's all white. So that was a problem. So now my sight's gone completely. There's no uniformity in disabled access toilets. They're all set out differently, and you've just got to go in there and feel your way around, and first to close the door and then to find the toilet, and everything's not laid out in the order which you'll use it. You can end up getting quite disorientated and then not be able to find the door to get out.
The emergency pull cord is in front on the right of the toilet when seated. The toilet tissue when seated is on the right.
Now, we've heard the one in the House of Commons there. There's also one in the Eden project that you put in, and also the National Maritime Museum down in Cornwall. What other places are you looking to put these installations into?
Well, Tony, I think anywhere that currently has a disabled access toilet should consider this now as an auxiliary aid, as defined in the Equality Act 2010, and consider doing this for any visually impaired person that actually would like to use it.
The toilet flush is a lever on the right.
Found it.
The wash basin is on the
And
right.
it's a very simple idea. Is the roommate unique? Because I can't believe that anybody's not done this before.
Well, that's a question that we get asked all the time. It's, as far as we're concerned, it's never been done before. People may have thought about it, but I think what's put people off in the past is because every toilet is set out differently. This is a bespoke product. You won't be able to buy it off the shelf. It's got to be programmed for that particular toilet.
OK, you're talking about toilets at the moment. So with this technology, is there any reason why it can't be put in other rooms in public buildings?
I think there's scope to develop roommate further, possibly with hotel rooms where it's not necessarily a large chain, but where they're a little bit more unusual in their layouts. They may well want to provide a roommate of some description for their visually impaired guests.
There is a single lever tap.
Oh, yes.
The soap dispenser is above the basin.
Done that in the wrong order.
It is manually operated.
One thing I will say, I think you've missed a trick here with the voice. She's a little bit too sensible, if I may say so. I think you could have had some fun with this, using some toilet humour.
It could be, I guess, a little bit more chirpy and cheerful, but the sound engineer at that time was looking for clarity so that those phrases couldn't get muddled up.
We also had to be very careful. We needed to have a lady's voice because we didn't want elderly ladies to be suddenly confronted with a male voice in their toilet. I mean, that could be humorous, but I mean, I'd like to have some humour because I find toilets when you're going to the toilets when you're blind quite humorous.
As you face the hand towels, the exit door is on the left-hand wall.
Thank you very much.
The exit door handle is on the right of the door.
That report by Tony Shearman, although that wasn't his voice. I don't know any visually impaired person who hasn't got a toilet story. Nikki Coburn is still with us. Have you got any plans for casing public loos?
No, she just reminded me of a sort of nicer version of Big Brother. I think it would be quite odd to sort of, have this voice barking commands at you.
Absolutely. And I gather what happens is a lot of sighted people go in and wave their arms at it just because they're so intrigued by what's going on.
Yeah, it's a bit like the one on the trains that tells you not to put your hopes and dreams down the toilet.
Oh, that's right.
I love that.
That is wonderful. No, that's a shame we haven't got a recording of it.